How's it going? Maintenance man preacher here again, talking to you. I hope you've been watching my sermons, maybe getting a little something out of them. Maybe one of them has spoken to you. God, working through me, trying to say something to you. I hope. Today I'm going to preach on John. I'm going to preach from John, and it's going to be John chapter 5, verses 1 through 9. I guess the story is also known as the healing at the pool. So here we go. Now, sometime later, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. Now, there is in Jerusalem near the sheep gate a pool, which is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Here, a great number of disabled people used to lie: the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for such a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me in the pool when the water is stirred. While I am trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me." Then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." At once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and walked. The day on which this took place was the Sabbath. This is the day of the Lord, or the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So, wow, could you imagine 38 years sitting in one place? Wow. I mean, you just sit there day after day after day, the same old thing happening over and over again, nothing ever changing. You just sit waiting, watching, and hoping. In today's gospel, that has become a way of life for this man. His life has become inactive. He can't see that the well of healing is on the inside of him. He is so sure the well is over there, somewhere over there, on the outside of him. So he sits there on his mat, waiting, watching, and hoping that his situation will change, that he will be healed. In Bethesda, there was a belief that the waters of this well could heal. They believed that every once in a while, an angel would come down and stir the water. The water would start to bubble, and the first one in would be healed. But the man won't get up off his mat until he sees the water start to bubble. This man has began to live an as soon as kind of life. As soon as the water starts to bubble, then I will get up. As soon as I can get into the water, then my life will change for the better. As soon as I get into the water, all my problems will be fixed. We all have that Bethesda in our lives. It is an illusion. It tells us our lives are nothing more than our circumstances. It lies to us and tells us that life is to be found on the outside of ourselves. It leads us to living an as soon as kind of life. We tell someone, or maybe even ourselves, as soon as this happens, I will be fine. It continues on throughout life. As soon as I graduate, as soon as I get a job, as soon as I get married. I'm sure you can fill in the blank. There will always be another Bethesda. and life gets put on hold. We sit on our mats in our own little prisons of the circumstances of our lives. This prison is so strong that the man doesn't even say yes when Jesus asks him if he wants to be healed. Instead, he answers with the excuses about his circumstances. I have no one to help me put in the water. Everyone steps in front of me and cuts in line. I'm not trying to say that our circumstances don't matter, because they do affect us. But we are more than our circumstances. Life is not on the outside of our circumstances, but within them. Don't live constantly looking for that next Bethesda. You see, Jesus does not help that man get into the water. He comes to him where he is at, inside the circumstances the man wants to escape. And he speaks the words of life and resurrection. Stand up and take your mat and walk. Jesus tells him. The man takes his mat with him. His situation goes with him. But instead of his circumstances carrying him, he is now carrying his circumstances. Jesus does not change the outside circumstances. He changes us from within. He changes us to a new way of being, speaking, and thinking. When we stand up in that new life, we see that the circumstances change. That doesn't mean that life will become easy or that we don't have to deal with our circumstances. It means our circumstances are more manageable and we handle them from a different position. The pool of Bethesda is emptied of its power. There is freedom where there once was a prison. The life Jesus offers does not happen as soon as. It happens here and now in our circumstances. Are you sitting on your mat? Are you looking for that pool in Bethesda? Stand up, take your mat, and walk.